Well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartley here today, and we've got another episode of the Simply Inspired podcast for you all today. I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Aaron Rees, professional strongman and Britain's strongest disabled man in 2023. This man has a very inspiring story to tell, not just about the world of strongman, which is an incredible sport, a very tough sport as well, but we're going to be going a little bit deeper into his life, into the mindset that it takes to achieve your dreams at a high level, some of what Aaron has overcome to get where he is today, and quite a few other fascinating topics. So stay tuned. And Aaron, thank you for coming on the show, mate, and thank you for taking time out of your busy life to make this possible. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Liam. It's a pleasure to speak with you. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this, so it's great. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Like I said, I'm all about inspiration and everything, and I definitely think, as well as being a successful sportsman, you really are a very inspirational person as well. So I think we'll be in good company today. Now, starting at the beginning, I think we'll go back in time a little bit, talk about how you started with Strongman, and really go back to that initial inspiration, and what inspired you to take up the sport, please.
Okay, yeah. So I think really we went back a bit further than the strong. I sort of started weight training at a young age, 14 years old, I think it was. I didn't do very well in school. My uncle just picked me up and took me to the gym, and the sort of bug started there. So fast forward about 15 years, and I started working in the Royal National College for the Blind. One of my ex-students contacted me and told me about a strongman competition, which was the England's Strongest Disabled Man back in 2018. And that was held in Brands Hatch, right in the middle of the racecourse in Kent. And yeah, I got excited for it. And we both started training. We had a couple of months to train for it. And Roy Davis, his name is, and he still competes in strongman now. And yeah, we went up. We did quite well considering. I kept fifth, and I was quite pleased with that, not having any sort of strongman kit to work with, and it just started from there, really. Yeah, I mean, after my son was born, I wasn't able to sort of train for a few years, but so they reintroduced the England Disabled Man this year, 2023. So that was me getting back into it. So I've had a bit of a gap out of it, but yeah. So this year I came second in the England Strongest Disabled Man, and it just progressed on then to the Brits this year. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, an amazing achievement, and thank you for sort of enlightening us on the timeline as well, because it's amazing you've done that after a while out. Now, with this being Britain's strongest disabled man and everything, I think we need to touch on that. Can you explain to us the nature of that for you, as to why you're competing in strongest disabled man instead of the regular version, just for anyone who doesn't know, because some people will be hearing this for the first time as well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born with a degenerative eye condition. So it's called retinitis pigmentosa, but we call it RP for short. So that basically means my peripheral vision is deteriorating. So my central vision is sort of around that sort of point at the moment. And I can't see in the dark. I don't have any night vision. So, I mean, I've always sort of, since teenage years, I've faced those sorts of barriers of getting to a gym, not being able to drive and things like that. And when I went to work at the college the first time in 2007, I finally had access to a full-time gym. So that was great, really, because that's been a big part of my life. Like I said, my uncle introduced me to it, and I just kept doing it ever since. So yeah, so it's given me a big focus to focus on, and I see it as sort of mindfulness. It takes my mind off things. Yeah, and I think it's helped with mental health, dealing with that degenerative eye condition. Yeah, I love the strongman, competing in strongman. I really enjoy it. I mean, I have thought about sort of non-disabled strongman competitions as well, and now I've recently reached the age of 40, so I will consider doing some other comps in the future as well. But it seemed to me like a more level playing field with my eye condition. There are other competitors in the same competition that have the same eye condition as me as well. So yeah, it does make it a more fair playing field. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, it's amazing what you've achieved, despite these difficulties. And that's what I'm all about at the end of the day, is how it's possible to overcome anything we set our mind to. I mean, it's not easy, but it's always possible. So pure inspiration right then and there. Um, so obviously touching on some of your proudest moments as a strongman, especially obviously very recently Britain's strongest disabled man, how it actually felt to win that, what goes through your mind in a moment like that. Just anything you'd like to share about that experience and other very proud moments that stand out to you as well.
Yeah, I think the first sort of proud moment was in the England comp before when I won my first event for the first time. That made me feel great, and then coming second then in that comp really boosted my confidence. And that was held in the Manchester Conventional Centre, and there was a Fit Expo going on at the same time. So I got to meet the Strongman brothers and Adam Bishop and people like that. So they were great moments. And then moving on to the Brits, it was a case of winning more events in that competition and seeing that I was on track to potentially winning the overall competition. I think by the time I got to the fourth event, I knew that was my strongest event, the axle floor to overhead press. And yeah, as soon as I lifted that particular lift, I kind of knew I was guaranteed on path to winning then that competition. And it was, I've got to say, there's nothing like hearing Magnus and the four-time world strongest man, shout out in his Icelandic accent, good lift. So it was great. That was a brilliant moment for me, that was. So yeah, after that, we moved on to the stones, and I kind of found I could relax a little bit. And then my mother popped out to the crowd. She was there all weekend with her partner and my uncle and auntie, which was a nice surprise because I told everyone, no, I don't want anyone coming to watch, so didn't want to worry about them. So that was a lovely moment as well. And then obviously bringing the medal home to my son, that was a lovely moment as well, sharing that with my son. Yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed all those things, those parts of it.
Absolutely amazing. It's great to hear about it from that point of view because it's the things people don't see from just from watching the competition is the things that went through your mind and the things you felt and everything. It's absolutely amazing achievements. I'd like to talk a little bit about your training and about what you do day to day in terms of fitness in around work, around family. Also, if there's anything that you do differently with the eye conditioner, just to get a feel for your daily sort of regime especially on the build up to a competition, but in general as well, I guess would be good.
I'm pretty lucky with my job. So like I said earlier, I'm a teacher in the Royal National College for the Blind, but I'm head of the sports department. So I'm always able to sort of keep fit in that sense and train in the student gym and so work, do workouts and that. So I train the students to become fitness instructors and personal trainers, and I've got access to some really good kit. I have got some strongman kit now. I try and fit in a strongman training session at least once a day, 5 days a week. I don't train on the weekends. We're active. I spend time with my kids then and my wife. But yeah, as long as I can get in 4 to 5 sessions a week, I'm happy. I feel good from that. You have to improvise sometimes when you haven't got the specific strongman kit. But then I've got some good contacts. My friend Mark here and my cousin Robert Brown live up in the South Gloucester area, and they've got a brilliant strongman setup up there in the Berkeley area. And so anything I need, I can just go up there and ask them to help me out with some things. But yeah, I try and fit it in the day. Try not to do it too late in the night. And I think that's something I could probably definitely add to improve on is get some more training time in, maybe do some split sessions when I'm doing more than just one session a day, focusing on other things. I mean, sometimes I'll use my spinning bike in the house as well, just to keep on top of the cardio when I haven't got time in work. But yeah, try and tailor sort of the nutrition. I up the calories leading up to the comp. I try and keep things relatively quite healthy now because I've recently turned 40, so I don't want to put on too much excess weight. And then I'll taper off after a competition. But yeah, I try and prioritize as much protein as I can, obviously, and things like fruit and veg and healthy options. Yeah, just dense food, nuts and seeds and things like that. And yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great insight. Again, people don't always see the dedication that goes in behind the scenes and everything like that, and there's a lot of it. So it's great to touch on that, the inside the life of a strongman day to day. And there's another thing with that as well, in terms of the competition side of things. To do what you do, you have to have a strong mind as well as a strong body, I would say. In a sense, you have to be able to handle the pressure and the dedication, all these different things. So when you're getting close to a competition, are there ways that you sort of mentally prepare for it and get yourself ready in that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the last comp, the Brits, I was definitely going through the motions in my mind for every single event, over and over again. I was writing things on the whiteboard. I actually wrote that I won on the whiteboard in the gym. It was only me using the gym. And what I predicted what I would do on each particular lift, which was pretty accurate, to be fair. So I think just getting yourself mentally set on exactly what you think, how you feel things are going to happen. But yeah, you definitely need some strong mental strength leading up to something like that. You can't let certain things put you off. I mean, the last two comps, there was the odd mistake or the odd thing I didn't foresee, and but you can't let that set you back. I also came down with a virus a few days before. That was probably the worst thing that really put me off, because I felt a little bit weaker. I was ill during the entire weekend as well. So yeah, that was a challenge. That was a tough thing that I couldn't foresee. You can't predict getting unwell. But I pushed through it, and I was pleased. Yeah, but I managed to get through the competition considering how unwell I was. I didn't really tell any people about that, but yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, that is amazing. You see that the mental toughness is just as important. And yeah, I mean, that concept of visualizing and planning it out in your mind. When I speak to the top champions in many different sports as well as strongman, they always say about the visualizing being like an essential ingredient. Now, another thing you touched on there, obviously being unwell and pushing through it, this type of thing. And I think that's really is something that separates people who succeed at a high level, like what you're doing, is the ability to push through the pain barriers, as people call it, in training, in competition, and as you said there, in life in general, because things are not always ideal outside. So again, just curious as to how you do that personally, how you push through that and don't let it get the best of you, basically.
Yeah, I think I've always been quite competitive anyway, and I always sort of push myself to the max within reason, with my training. My mother's got the same eye condition as me as well, and my uncle. They've had a big part in my life, and they've always showed me how to be quite resilient with things and try not to let things really sort of pull you down or hold you back. Um, I think, yeah, you just got to try your best, push as hard as you can. It's the only way you're gonna achieve. Like I said, I was unwell on the first day. In my head, I kept saying, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like I can lift. I'm gonna fail, but I'll push through. And yeah, just really, I probably put a bit too much pressure on myself, but ultimately that's sometimes what you need. And yeah, and I was able to, what I found this time, I was able to really psych myself up quite well. I think that helped, before going on to each lift. Really, really, yeah, it made a difference between the previous comp. I was able to really channel that motivation, and I think I mentioned about my son's potentially he's having a spinal operation soon as well. So I think a big part of me wanted to win that competition for him. Because we don't know what the outcome's going to be, but it could impact on his potential walking and things like that. So I wanted to win that comp and show him what people can do, with a range of different disabilities and how amazing they all are. And yeah, that was a big motivator for me to win as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is, I'm sure it really inspired him, as well as a lot of other people. It's a wonderful sort of motivation behind it. You see that the things people don't see from the outside, it's very important to touch on. And one other sort of mental or mindset-based topic, I guess you could call it, is as well as this, obviously training in the gym is one thing, but competing in front of crowds and or competing in front of people, you mentioned your mother. I mean, I'm sure that's encouraging, but on the other way, there is pressure that comes with competing in front of people. How do you handle that and sort of keep your composure and keep calm and everything?
I think when I was younger, I did used to struggle with nerves with competing and things. I think age helps a little bit. Not always for everybody, but um, yeah, I used to compete in disability velodrome track cycling as a sprinter many years ago, and I did struggle with it back then. But these days, I think I've just calmed down as a person, and with the eye condition, having the tunnel vision, I think that actually helps in some way because I'm able to block out what's around me. So in some sort of way, it's a benefit. But yeah, I'm just able to block it all out now, which is great. I just focus purely on what I'm doing. I can almost forget there's people there. Yeah. I suppose in the last cup, it's good to put on a bit of a show as well, and then try and entertain the crowd a little bit, so it makes it a bit more fun for them. So that's something I was trying to do a little bit as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool. The mindset aspect, sure, but as you say, with the air conditioning having a potential benefit in there as well, even though it's as its difficulties, that's a good way of looking at it. Actually, I find a positive and a negative. I know it's not ideal, but it's a good way of looking at it. So you mentioned you were a sprinter. Did you say? Did I hear that right
Yeah,
years ago?
yeah. Yeah, so I got into when I went to the first work with the college. GB, the cycling team came talent scouting. I did quite well in the test there, and they invited me up to Manchester Velodrome. And from there, I sort of went to Newport Velodrome and worked with Neil Smith, who was the head disability coach. So it was on tandem. I was a stoker and I had a pilot on the front, and we competed in the 2010 Disability Grand Prix. So I had to lose quite a bit of weight for that. Well, upper body weight really more than anything, and it was a brilliant experience. I think I was a little bit impatient with how things were moving forward a bit slow. But looking back, I kind of wish I stuck at it a little bit more. But I was going through doing my teacher training and things like that at the time, so it was a lot going on. Right, so I eventually stopped, but I got one of my ex-students into it after that, and he went on to win a bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games. So that was quite rewarding to see how well he did from that, Matt Ellis, and it's because that changed his life as well. He's still involved with GB disability cycling. So yeah, it's a brilliant experience. It's really fun cycling around on the velodrome. It's a lot steeper than people realise, and you can hit some good speeds.
Wow, there we are. So, you competed in that in not one but two sports there. So that is very cool. These little things you find out, like even though I do my research and everything, there's always little things that pop up that you don't know, and that's very, very cool. Um, so coming back into the present day and everything like that, I'd like to get your advice for a few people first, and then we'll come back to your own achievements. First of all, for people who are aspiring to compete in strength sports specifically, I think we can get one or two pieces of advice for you for them. Then we'll broaden it out to people in general. But starting with that side of things, anything you'd share with those people?
Yeah, I think give it a go, and try new things with strongman or powerlifting. Until you try it, you don't know if you're going to enjoy it. And there's so much variation with strongman with the events. I just find it really fun. There's different things to focus on. You don't get bored from doing the same thing over and over again. Every time a comp comes up, you've got to focus on different aspects of the lifts and breaking things down. Be creative on how you train for it. But I've said it before. Try not to let the heavyweights put you off. Start at a reasonable level and build up like I did. That's what I've done over the last 6 years. Built up slowly, and you can. I'm starting to see the rewards now from it. And ask questions to the athletes that are involved. They can answer any questions and point in the right direction. Whether the nearest sort of facility is that has strong on kit. There's always things going on. yeah, give it a go, try it. It's fun. Yeah, we have a good laugh, it's a good community. Everybody's helpful, and it's really growing at the moment. It's a really good time to Disabled Strongman to get involved. As you know, able-bodied strongman's really grown. So yeah, get involved and give it a go.
Yeah, some great advice there. I mean, that's the thing, you don't know until you try at the end of the day. So, really good advice there. And in terms of broadening that out for people in general, obviously you've lived a life where you've never let things hold you back. And I appreciate in your case, you've had the family support and everything, which is really good with your mother and your uncle having the same condition. But some people, they don't always have that type of thing. They're sort of more isolated with a disability or whatever, whatever it is they're going through. So I'd like to give or get some advice from you in terms of how people can push through obstacles basically on a bigger scale, whether it's even if it's nothing to do with strongman, even if it's business, education, another sport altogether, just to not let things stop them, basically.
Yeah, I think it's probably it's important to access the support that's out there as well, and not go through things alone. It's quite easy to just bottle things up and deal with things by yourself, but it makes life a lot easier when you can accept help from people and access the support that's out there to make your life a bit easier. And from there, then opportunities start to arise, like they did with me when I first came to the college. I sort of carried on like nothing was wrong with my eye condition. And then as soon as I came to a different environment, opportunities started opening up for me. And that's how it happens sometimes. But reach out to people as well. There's always similar people going through similar things out there, and that's the thing. I see students come through the college that have got the same eye condition as me, and like you said, they don't have other people in their family with it, and for the first time they're able to sort of share experiences and make light of it, and look at different strategies that you can do to help each other. Just access the support that's out there if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great lesson for life, isn't it? I mean, no one's an island, as they say, and reaching out for people. I definitely think as men, we do tend to bottle up emotions and things, nothing to do with the eye condition or anything specific, but just in general. And I can imagine there's that pride, isn't there, you have to swallow sometimes, especially with a condition like yours where people may not tell straight away, and you might be carrying on trying to mask it, but then that opening up makes things so much easier. So it's really good advice and really, yeah, powerful really. So touching on your future plans, I mean, obviously you mentioned at the beginning you've not been long back into strongman and everything, but you've had this great success with the Britons. In terms of where you want to go from here, I don't really mind how far ahead we go, but just to get a feel for what's inspiring you from this point, basically.
Yeah, so next year there's some big comps happening next year. So it'll start back again as the Englands, which I did a few months back. The Englands is a qualifier for the Brits again. The Brits will be happening again. So there's going to be the first UK Strongest Disabled Man competition, which sounds brilliant. It's going to be on a big scale as well. And also the Arnold's is potentially happening in March at the NEC in Birmingham. That's pretty much, from what I understand, kind of like the highest sort of prestigious comp that you could do. So I'd love to potentially compete in all four of those comps and the Worlds if I can. The Worlds is going on this weekend in Florida, so my qualifier will be for next year. And also there's going to be potentially the first Welsh disabled strongman competition happening next year as well, which I'm being Welsh from Swansea. I've got to do that comp. So I'd love to be the first man to win that comp as well. But yeah, I think what I need to do is sort of focus on getting my nutrition right, upping my calories, staying on top of things more. After the last England's comp, I said to myself, I've got to really start taking things seriously and not skipping training sessions. Be a little bit more selfish. I had to be, and that's what paid off in the end with the Brits. So I think I've had, for the first time, 1 year of solid training, and it's made a big difference because being a teacher, I get the summer off, and I always didn't train during the summer, but for the last summer, that was the first time I've trained all the way through and I had a solid year. And so I'm going to keep on top of that, keep up my training, not skip anything or miss anything. And yeah, and like I said, I've recently turned 40, so that allows me to train in the masters categories in able, strongman, and powerlifting. So I'm definitely gonna pursue that at some point as well. Because again, it's a bit more of a level playing field. I won't be competing like against 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds, so they'll all be 40 plus. And in the later future, then my uncle I mentioned earlier, he's competing in the Europeans in England for powerlifting in the next couple of weeks. He's 63, so I think it's fantastic that he's still breaking records. He's looking to break the British and European record. He's just took a Welsh record in bench pressing. So yeah, I think knowing that my eyesight's going to get worse, his is worse than mine. I've still got a future ahead in lifting and powerlifting and strongman. So like I said earlier, it gives me a focus. It takes my mind off the stress, the hectic work life and home life. So yeah, I'm quite excited for competing in all those comps. And keep going really, and not let sort of age, be a barrier, because it obviously didn't make a difference this year for me in the competition. So I'm still making progress. Yeah, so looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, the future is very bright, and I want to wish you the best of luck with those competitions that you mentioned. I also think it's really cool how you sort of represent the fact that age is just a number as well, and your uncle as well, what you said there. Um, because as well as the eyesight and showing people what's possible there, showing people what's possible with age is really cool as well, because how many people do you meet and they think they're over the hill and they're finished, and it's not. It's all up in the mind. It's not a real thing. So I definitely think that I mean, that's not a question, I'm just saying I think that's super cool to sort of break that barrier as well. So we've touched on that. Now, we've also touched on people who've helped you a little bit earlier, because you have mentioned your uncle and your mother and everything. But I just want to check, is there anyone else you'd like to mention who's really sort of contributed to your journey along the way to get where you are now?
Yeah, I got to mention my wife. So she was the person that encouraged me to first take that sort of leap forwards into accepting my eye condition and seeking help that was out there. So I probably wouldn't be where I am today in my career. It's definitely, if it hadn't been for her pushing me that way, and those opportunities wouldn't have come up if I hadn't taken that step forwards. So I probably would have been carrying on like nothing's wrong and trying to hide what was going on with my eye condition. So yeah, I got a big thanks to my wife for that. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Good to give her a mention, and everyone who's helped you really, as it shows what's going on again behind the scenes and the way they contribute. Um, Also talking about how people can reach you as well. If anyone wants to get hold of you to ask advice about anything to do with training, anything to do with the eye condition, other people living with that, or just advice in general, as I've said, how can people reach out to you basically?
Yeah, I'm on social media on Facebook and Instagram. So my name's Aaron Rees, AARONRWES. So if anybody, definitely, if anybody's struggling with anything that relates to what I've talked about today, please give me a message. I'm pretty good at replying to people. In my job, I'm used to talking to people about all sorts of problems. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but definitely, I'd hate to think of anybody that's going through something similar and not having someone to talk to. So yeah, get in touch if there's anything I can help with a strongman. Again, get in touch. Just give me a shout, and yeah, we can have a chat. I'm always chatting to guys on the internet, even people I don't know about, I never met, about strongman and things like that. So we always keep in touch, and I'm still asking pro strongman tips for tips now with strongman. So that's just the way it is. How the sport has sort of evolved with technology and that. Yeah, and if anybody wants to sponsor me as well, that would be really helpful. Throw that in as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, they should do. First of all, with the advice thing, that's absolutely brilliant, because people can reach out and connect with you. So that's amazing. But yeah, the sponsorship thing, I will put the word out there as well with this talk, because the good thing is you're on the up and up. I mean, fresh off the Britons and winning that, and obviously on the road to these various other competitions you mentioned. It's only going to get better. You're sharpening up with the diet and all the things you mentioned. So got the world at your feet with that at the moment. And so I'd say, yeah, any businesses, please do get in touch. You know where to get in touch now. Anything that we've missed, Aaron? Anything else you'd like to mention? Or are you happy with everything? Because we've covered some good topics as far as I'm concerned. Just double checking.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm pretty pleased with everything we've discussed there. Yeah, I think yeah, I think we covered all the areas. Yeah.
Yeah, we've covered some good things, because what I was aiming for with this, we've ticked the box and then some, because we've got like some of the fun stories from your competition, but then we've gone a bit deeper and gone into sort of what makes you tick and how that relates to people who can use some of those tips. So I'm very happy with it, mate. Like I said, I'm really grateful for your time, and
Oh no, thanks a lot. Loved it. It's been great.
yeah, I loved it too. I hope you had fun. I mean, that's the main.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm Jeff. Thanks for getting in touch. How did you hear about the comp? Let me ask it. Did it pop up on social media or something?
Yeah, I pretty much came across you by chance, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I'm always looking for people.
Yeah.
So I've always got the feelers out there with looking for people with inspiring stories, because I do with these podcasts, I do like maybe one or two a week or something like that, sometimes more, and I'm always getting them out there. So I'm always looking for people. But you, I think it was either you commented underneath something and I clicked on your profile, or your profile just popped up, but it was pretty much by chance. And I read a little bit about your achievements. I thought, wow, I've got to get this guy on the show, because the story you have to tell. But yeah, it was a bit random, to be honest, but I'm glad, because look at what we've created today.
Oh, brilliant.
With this talk. So, and I will also say as well, if you ever want to do another one in the future, after some of these other competitions you mentioned, maybe next week, do an update or something like that, and sort of share with people how things are going, I'd be well up for that as well, because it sounds like,
Thanks, Liam. That's great. Thanks a lot.
yeah, sounds like some great things are yet to come. So, so that's everything with this. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.